Hello, and welcome to the Comic Conspiracy episode 37. Brock, don't even say it. I'm Ryan
37?
Yeah. I'm Ryan Higgins. I'm joined by my lovely assistant.
Lovely assistant? What am I? Oh, I swear. Brock Sager.
Hello, Brock Sager.
Hello.
And we are rejoined by the Tornado Twins.
The
Charlie,
Tornado Twins?
Charlie
Tornado
and Toby.
Twins.
The Tornado Twins
That's the best you could come up with.
Jan and Zaina themselves, Toby and Charlie. What's another good...
Are those the two purple people?
I don't know who he's talking about.
Yeah.
They
Jan
are?
and Zaina, yeah. The Marvin and Wendy of podcasting.
One of them is a girl.
Okay.
Let's, what else?
Isn't one of them a girl?
Yeah.
Are you referring
Let's
that
just call
Charlie is the
Cyprian
girl
Roy.
then?
That'd be nicer.
I got nothing. Just
Because I'm not the girl.
Toby, say hello.
Don't they have a monkey?
They do have a monkey.
I want to be the monkey.
Okay.
All right.
You can be the monkey.
Yes. Hello.
That's Toby, and this is Charlie.
Yes, this is me.
Welcome back, Charlie.
Good to be here.
Excellent. We're glad to have you back. We were actually going to pimp your podcast the other week, and I totally forgot to do it, so remind me to do it before the end of the night, because Charlie has abandoned us for his own.
I
Infinite
have not.
long box.
I have not abandoned you.
Oh, okay.
I'm still back.
You're still back?
Yes.
Okay. Well, we'll get into that in a little bit.
Some broke back.
I guess we shall talk about some comic book related subjects tonight. Brock is he wants to have 1,000 clerks. I'm 37 jokes in this episode, but I'm trying
It
to.
started last week.
Yeah, I know.
No, last week was 36 in a row.
I know. But they weren't really in a row because we had a bunch of missed episodes.
This is true.
Yeah,
A couple off weeks.
And even this week is not in our proper day. We're recording
I know.
Tuesday night, so yeah.
I can just imagine our avid listeners, what their day was like yesterday when they didn't have us to listen to.
all 6 of them.
Yeah.
Well, I'm actually going to put this up right when I get home tonight, so it'll still be Tuesday night somewhere when this goes on. So
Yeah, but normally they have it Monday.
no, Tuesday
No,
morning,
they don't.
6 a.m.
Oh, yeah, sorry. They haven't had it all day.
I know. They'll have it tonight.
Oh, jeez. You're already screwing up their holiday.
I know. Oh, yeah, Christmas is coming.
Oh, Christmas is coming.
Yeah.
Isn't this the...
Holy shit, Christmas
Before we
is
talk
here.
about comic books, what do
Yeah.
you guys do any Christmas holiday plans? You do
This is the
anything?
one before Christmas, right?
Yeah.
The next one is after?
Yep.
Before the New Year.
Yep.
Yeah, next episode is our year in review episode.
Oh, really? Or are we going to do it the first one of the New Year?
No, this is what we liked out of the new year.
Oh, all right.
Brock apparently said we're doing this next week, so
Yeah, we're doing it next week.
Next
and
week,
you
I
need to
guess.
watch Daredevil Director's Cut pretty soon, jackass.
I still have like
Wait,
2 weeks.
shouldn't that be the one that's next week?
No,
that's the one after the.
Oh, that's the first one? That's how we started the
one
New
after the
Year?
New Year, yeah.
We started with Daredevil Director's Story?
that'll be a.
Oh,
that'll
Daredevil
be like
Director's Cut.
Yeah,
Yeah, so we'll get some best of.
So we have
picks.
2 planned.
yeah,
Wow.
kind of. Well, no,
That's
3
a
planned.
record.
We have 3
Yeah.
planned.
3. Okay.
What else do we have planned?
Yeah.
6-month review.
Oh, well, that's like 2 months down the road, so
Yeah.
that's fine. All right. Well, actually, yeah. Before we talk comic books, let's. What do you guys do for Christmas? You do anything, Brock? You hang out here? You and your
normally
kid
I-
and your girl and
My kid,
Your
my family. Oh yeah, you take a shot, people. I talked about my kid. Yeah, well, we're changing it up this year because there's a lot of places to go, like
Yeah.
family wise. So Christmas Eve will be during the day at my mom's.
really don't need like totally detailed, relevant information unless you want people to stalk you. Just kind of a general, like, yeah, hang out here next.
Yeah, at my mom's. Then I'm at my dad's at night on Christmas Eve.
And the
then
address is
You want-
for brunch, it's at her
777
dad's,
Sesame
it's,
Street.
You know,
Yeah.
and then I don't know what we're doing Christmas evening, but I definitely know I'm visiting Calendar Man.
Nice. Got to do it.
Yeah,
Calendar Man, Arkham City. Got to do it.
can't cheat and change the date.
Charlie?
Unless you missed it.
What sales are you camping out for?
None that I know of currently. but
Really?
I'm expecting stuff to hit online soon with
Charlie's
full dates.
Charlie's one of these crazy sale camper. Well, no, you're not that crazy. I like to make fun of you about
not
it, but
sales camper, just sale finder.
sale finder.
Yes.
Finder.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yes, I've only camped out a couple of times.
You need to have like the geeks. You need to have like the geeks like deal website, Charlie. That's what you need to do. You need to be like go on Twitter and say, "Oh yeah, everybody go buy this now."
Yeah, I could definitely do that.
Yeah, because I mean, there's so many. I mean, there's this comic site that does it. I can't remember what the name of it is, but they actually have like a
Oh, Bleeding
sale.
Cool has it sometimes when it's big
There's like
stuff.
a site that specifically deals in like kind of geek culture, like 1 day sale item stuff. I can't remember what it's called though. I'll have to look at that up.
Yeah, I need that.
I don't know. I just message people I know all day long.
You too often tell me, hey, there's awesome things on sale, and I'm like, oh god, I know, no, don't tell me, I'm too tempted. Toby, how about you? Hanging out? Any plans?
Stay home.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Usual.
Cool.
Yeah. Nothing big.
All right.
What are you doing, Ryan?
I'm going to my girlfriend's sister's brother's.
We don't need too many details.
Grandfather's house. No. Just going to some girlfriend's family's house for a day. So
Cool.
Shut the store down for a day and a half. So.
Oh my god!
Day and a half.
Oh.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Well, we'll close early on Christmas Eve, and we gotta drive, and then come back Christmas night.
We have to drive. Don't you do the driving?
I don't drive. She drives.
This is true.
I thought when he said we, you're like, wait, I'm driving. Where am I going?
Like, what the?
I don't know.
I didn't sign up for this shit. No.
You're the designated driver this year?
No, I ain't driving him anywhere.
Yeah, usually very mellow Christmas stuff. So which is good, which is fun. All right, let's talk on comic book crap.
Comic book
Enough
crap.
of this social, personalized talking about our lives,
Making them
Let's
feel
talk
like
about-
they know us.
Let's talk about real things. Comic books. Now,
No, you want to talk comic books because you said, man, we don't talk comic books on this show.
We don't.
we talk about like industry stuff. We were talking about this prior. I was like, we don't really talk about, because we were talking about Charlie's podcast, The Infinite Long Box.
They do a pretty
in
good
which
job.
They do lots of reviews and like actually talk about the comic books.
Yeah.
We just sort of talk about comic books and like kind of the industry stuff. And I was realizing we don't really talk about the stories.
talk
a
shop.
lot. Yeah, it's more shop stuff. And I don't know if you like that or you don't like it, let me know. But Charlie specifically wanted to be on this week's episode, and we're glad we could have you on here because
Yes.
we did want to talk about Marvel's newest piece of their newest adventure in comic book storytelling, and that is Avengers X-Sanction #1. This is Marvel's lead-in to the beginning of the tie-in of the giant X-Men vs. Avengers.
Which will change the Marvel Universe for
Forever.
years to come.
forever.
For a day.
That comes
Yeah.
out next year. It is Jeff Loeb and Ed McGuinness. Ed McGuinness channeling, is it John Kay? That's the guy's name that does Ren and Stimpy?
Who?
John Kay? Isn't that his name? I swear to God. It's got this weird style. Like, it is not Ed McGuinness's normal style. There's some really cartoony facial features.
But see,
in this
that could
comic.
also be the inker.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's something really
Cable
weird.
looks weird.
There's
Well,
a couple
yeah,
weird
but-
shots in this.
Cable looks really weird.
But Charlie, as a very, very long-time Cable fan and someone who is half looking forward to this book, why don't you give us the pitch? Give us your Infinite Long Box sort of summary of the issue in general, and then we'll
Okay.
talk about it.
Summary of the issue in general is, in a strange
Spoilers.
way, the beginning of this story reminds me very much of the way Jeff Loeb started the Red Hulk. Just the whole point is Red Hulk's here and he takes somebody down. And that was the first 6 issues. So far it seems to be following suit a little bit with that with Cable. But for me, sort of like the highlights of this book actually tended to be the stuff in the future, just because it's been a very long time since Blacksmith has been in a book, and he suddenly popped up again, and it kind of is a very nice nod to some of the past Cable stories, and I like that.
Well, for the uninitiated, and myself included, because I'm not a huge Cable fan, I barely remembered Blacksmith. What's sort of the background to this story, and then sort of who are these characters for people that don't know?
Okay, in terms of the background for this story, what it really comes down to is they've had a event going on for a while with the Messiah War, the Second Coming, all of that.
It's the big X-Men crossovers
Yeah.
from the last few years.
Yeah, and basically it's all about, so the mutants were decimated, you had a new mutant born, Cable went off and protected Hope, which was the new mutant, for, what was that, 2 years? 1 year?
In real time or their time?
Real time.
In real
Like-
time is about a year.
Oh, the Cable series lasted about 2 years. It went about 20 some odd issues.
Yeah, but
And-
in the actual continuity of the book.
well, the continuity is 5 minutes, but I mean, in our
Well-
published time,
No.
well, in the
In publishing
comics,
time, in publishing time, the book was out for 2 years.
well, in
Yeah.
the comics, I mean, Cable went to the future, and Hope came back, and she was like
Yeah.
18 or something.
Yeah, but
legal for Scott Summers to bang because she's a redhead. So there you go. It's illegal if you're an X-Men to have sex with an 18-year-old girl that looks like your dead ex-wife.
Dude, what is wrong
Which
with
is
you
the
today?
I
adopted
almost was
daughter
gonna
of his
split all
son?
this out.
Is that really where you want to go with this?
all I'm saying,
I was almost going to split this drink out right there when he said that. I was like,
all I'm
what?
saying is there's not a redhead in the Marvel universe that Cyclops has not slept with, and I'm
Firestar?
I'm sure he has. hey, man, they were in the when they were in the Hellions at the White Queen. I'm sure there was something going on there. I'm sure him and Mary Jane got it on at one point. Not surprise me. She looks like Jean Grey. You know she is going to get the Phoenix powers when the Phoenix comes back next year. Oh, spoiler.
Okay, let's table this little rant because this is getting us so far away from this book, it's not even funny.
So Cable comes back with this 16-year-old redhead girl, 18-year-old redheaded girl, whatever.
And basically at the very end of that story, Cable and I believe X-Force at the time went into the future to stop a constant onslaught of Nimrods coming back trying to wipe out Hope.
Can I just say Nimrod is the greatest villain name ever? Like, Nimrod? I love that name. Nimrod's like this crazy future sentinel. Mm-hmm. And the name is hilarious. But go ahead.
So at the very end, Cable basically sacrifices himself, basically ripping the portal back open so X-Force can come through, and leaves his arm behind, as he's mysteriously dead, but I guess not dead according to this book. So that sort of gives you this sort of history of that. So when Blacksmith shows back up, Cable's evidently in the far future. The world's been completely destroyed, and Blacksmith basically tells him that it's because Hope was prevented from saving the day.
And Blacksmith is Cable's moloid-looking...
I thought the character was from Fantastic Four.
Yeah, he looks the moloid, like the mole man's little guy. Yeah, he's like some crazy future blacksmith, quote unquote.
Yeah, but he essentially has been in the role of sort of Cable's Yoda a couple of times over the years, sort of steering him towards, you need better training in this, you need to learn to master your telekinesis, you need to not rely on weapons so much. All the sort of standard, you can be much more powerful than you are now if you would just listen to me and not yourself.
So Cable is back. Mm-hmm. He's back from the future.
Yes.
God damn it, you're going to give me a headache by the end of this.
For what reason?
To take out the Avengers, because Blacksmith told him they're the ones that prevented Hope from saving the world, basically. And as Cable's adopted daughter, which Ryan seems to think that Cable's dad wants to sleep with.
I'm just saying.
I'm just going to go back to this a couple of times.
Jean Grey, Madeline Pryor.
I just want to apologize for Ryan Higgins.
Emma Frost in the wig in Grant Morrison's X-Men when she's all dressed up like Jean Grey. Like, come on. Like,
she wasn't dressed up.
Okay.
Yeah, in like his mind.
Well, that's not dressed up. That's
mind sex.
Okay.
Oh, jeez.
So, few key points in this book.
I think it's been a while for Ryan.
So,
Yeah.
So, Cable is now evidently dying, that the virus in his body is running rampant.
Finally?
Well, I was going to say, this is like...
Jesus.
This is like the Spawn. You have 100 days to die. Oh, wait. This virus has been killing Cable for 25 years. So.
Well, more than that. I mean, there were
like
story
our
arcs where
time.
he beat the virus. The story lines where, hey, look, we've shut off all the mutant powers, so the virus is instantly killing him, and yet somehow when that's done, it kind of reverted back to the way it was.
All right.
So yes, I realize this isn't the first time they've pulled the virus is gotten worse card.
Yeah.
But they pretty much said at the beginning of this book he had 24 hours to live, and I think at another point in the book it said like 17.
Yeah.
That's why he looks so much worse than he ever did?
That, I believe, is their explanation, is the virus is rewriting his DNA the rest of the way, and...
Yeah, because this virus to Cable's head, it's like a techno-organic virus, if I'm not mistaken, which is basically turning his body into like cybernetic parts. Like he's getting all deformed.
It's a weird cyber mesh, but I guess this is something that even as a longtime Cable fan, I've never fully understood. Because to some degree, it seems like it's rewriting his body. To some degree, it seems like his telekinesis is shaping it to be limbs. And because I remember story arcs where he lost his mutant power and it literally just grew without end, without any kind of shape.
Right.
But then again, I have all sorts of minor issues with some of the way they use the techno-organic virus, because even reading some of the older X-Men stuff, I remember scenes where Cable had like part of the flesh hanging off his face, and he was a Terminator, basically.
Yeah. He's got TOVs.
Yeah, so they haven't ever done a
techno-organic virus. TOVs.
TOVs.
TOVS. TOVs.
So bottom line is they've never been 100% consistent with the virus, other than they just infected his body and turned a certain amount of him into part technology, part flesh.
Enough to look awesome, but not enough to actually like kill him. So now when this was announced, and the Avengers X-Men crossover thing coming up, like I'm sure it'll be fun. But when this was announced as kind of a prelude and launching into it, Jeff Loeb, it's like, oh god. And I know we were talking before the podcast about kind of like what Jeff Loeb at one point was a great comic writer, and in the last handful of years he's really fallen off. So going in, I mean, maybe just because my expectations were as low as you can possibly have them. As I joke, this issue did not make my eyes bleed as much as I thought it would. I did not projectile vomit quite as far as I expected. It was just a little leakage out of my mouth.
I read it too, and I really enjoyed the Cable series, the last Cable series, and all the stuff with Hope and all that. Yeah. And to me, this was kind of that.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, that was Dwayne Swirsky, who's now doing Birds of Prey. Because a lot of people were like, well, who is this guy? And that's one of the books he wrote for Marvel. And
he left Marvel to go to a better company. But beside the point, no, I read this, and it was kind of, I felt how Cable came back was a cop-out. It's like, oh, here, he's in the future. It's all white. Yay. Hey, let's throw some cute little Fantastic Four-looking creature that everyone knows has been in the Cable lore for, a while. Cool. Just, to me, it didn't... I don't know. It felt like one after that last Cable series, because Cable's... I've always liked Cable's character. I've never followed him as much as you have, Charlie, but I've always liked his character. In that last one, he was very... he was the Cable that, I think everyone enjoys as the very tough, very... intelligent, strategic guy.
Man on a mission.
Yeah, man on a mission. Whereas this...
He's kind of dumb in this episode.
Yeah, in this he feels like more... It sounds like he's more... It feels like he's more of a brute, of somebody that, somebody's playing his strings a little too easily.
This guy's telling me to kill Captain America, so I'm going to...
Yeah, I got to do it.
Well, he talks a little more than he usually does in this book, too. Yeah. Like, a lot more than I'm used to.
That's one of the few things about this book that kind of threw me for a loop, and I actually brought it up on the Infinite Long Box, that there's literally lines in this book where I'm like, why on earth is Cable talking to himself?
Yeah,
because
it's the technovirus, he's going more and more crazy.
Yes. Maybe he's hearing voices. I don't know. But
that'll actually make for a pretty interesting Cable story.
I have a question about the technovirus. If it takes over, he just becomes a techno guy?
The way they made it seem is like any other virus. If it completely takes him over, he's dead.
It's like a mesh of like a junk pile of organic bones and stuff. Yeah. Because he's done like that kind of like Akira sort of like shooting stuff out of his arm, getting all super long and crazy looking, but that's like when it gets like starts ravaging him and stuff. So
the other thing is
we should read that. I think didn't you borrow the Ascani's Son? Those books?
I borrowed those. But
that's like the whole origin of Cable. So when they go into the future, when they have them, and this is actually pretty decent. So.
It was okay, but I mean, Cable's origin and Cable has always been a weird thing, especially if you don't follow it.
Well, it's all time travel and babies from the future. And
I wonder why I like a comic about time travel and weird paradoxes. That doesn't sound like me at all.
And a blue box.
Yeah. Well, so I do want to talk very briefly about the last page, and specifically the last panel, which I don't want to say this, I mean, I guess a spoiler, but whatever. So the last panel is apparently Cable shooting Captain America and killing him, but it's like...
Well, it wasn't on the news, so he's not dead.
Right,
Marvel
exactly.
didn't call Fox News and didn't call ABC.
Is it the fact that we are just so jaded and just so like, oh, of course he's not dead. I don't even for 1 millisecond even consider the fact that Cable just killed Captain America. Or is it like why even end an issue like that when it seems just so cliche?
It's definitely cliche, but I mean, going back to Cable being a man on a mission, he's a man on the mission who does not tend to be reckless. So there's a certain amount of recklessness in this book, I admit.
Yeah, he talks too much.
But that being said, if Cable's being written well, there's some end goal or plan here more than just, say, taking out the Avengers. he may be removing them from this time period. You don't know what exactly his exact goal is at the moment.
And that's even a bigger problem with kind of what I felt in the plot of this book is Cable's not an idiot. He knows that Captain America and the Avengers are good guys. Why is he? Why would he just be like, "Hey, look, I just came back from the future, and the future's effed up because of this. Like, we need to get hope. She needs to do something. We need to have this." And of course, I mean, this is going to be the whole plot of X-Men vs. Avengers. Is the X-Men need to do this thing, and the Avengers won't let them. And it's like, oh, come on, like
now you're overthinking it because I mean, look at Cable's history. Time and time again, he could have gone to people and talked it out, but he's a soldier. He just sort of powers through it, and he doesn't want to talk about it depending on...
But that just seems...
Maybe it's not Cable.
It just seems...
No, it's completely Cable. I mean, think about what happened at the beginning of the
but I mean, I get that the
Messiah complex.
I get that
he did the same thing to the X-Men.
I get that the first time, but like we're on the 12th time. He's like, oh, time to go back and change my history again. Like you'd think he'd just be like, why don't we just... Like, why am I shooting these people?
Well,
like,
I mean...
it just doesn't make any sense to me.
Looking at the last panel, when I read
My
it...
eyes are starting to bleed the more I think about it.
Looking at the last panel of this, where it's the guns to Captain America's head, and then it's just blam. It's not even a good gunshot sound effect. It's just blam.
Yeah, I mean, it could be Iron Man.
What's a good gunshot sound effect?
The
Kabloobiyo blam.
All right.
Well, it's one of those things where I've seen better uses of just the sound, like just the word blam, than this one, right? Where it's like blam, blam. It's like quick, rapid shots, right? You've seen it in movies all the time where it's like we don't see the gun actually fire and hit the person. We just hear it.
Sure.
This...
But I mean,
it's like crammed in the corner, and it says blam, and then right underneath it's like, to be continued, by the way. No shit.
But
it says one of four on the front of the thing.
When you
what
have
do you think I expect?
When you have an off-camera gunshot sound, the natural assumption is this character died. But it's just like there's no point to even do that in this because you don't even think for a second that Captain America.
They could have just left it without the blam, and it would work perfectly fine.
And I agree with that, but.
To
me,
that
sort of
Cable
the bottom line of this book for me is I see the potential of it being a good book. I see the potential of it being an absolute horrible book. But from the first issue, I'm not enjoying it. I mean, from early on in a lot of the other Jeff Loeb stuff, I was kind of like, yeah, this is goddamn stupid. But this book, I'm curious to read the second one. I want to see where it goes. I want to see if it ends up really good or not so good. For me right now, it's a good read.
Yeah. If, as the lead-in to Marvel's big 2012 event book, I didn't really want to issue, and you can't really draw any conclusions from this, but this is the beginning.
Well, maybe he does kill Captain America, and that's why the Avengers are fighting the X-Men and blaming the X-Men for it. See, simple.
You know what? I would give Marvel such huge effing props if they killed Captain America at the end of this issue and just totally... Like, under the rate, we're not going to talk about it. Captain America died. He died right there. Didn't you see it? I would give them such
not call the news for once?
Right. I would laugh. I mean, I wouldn't throw the unsellable copies in the trash like I probably will end up doing next week because no one bought this book. So, like, I'm really curious, like what they think. But as the start of this big event,
it'd be hilarious if that's the reason why they fight each other.
It's a slow start. I mean, it's not...
Well, I think we're...
And are we past heroes fighting heroes?
Oh, God, I'm so over that fucking shit. Like, I saw Avengers versus X-Men, I was like...
I'm
pounding my head on a wall. That's what I was doing.
As bad as Schism was...
Schism was? Schism was bad.
Which was the big X-Men split up. I at least kind of get it. Like, the plot was fine. The story was bad.
Yeah.
But the general... plot of Wolverine and Cyclops divide the X-Men over a schism of a conflict.
No, like I like the idea, like the concept idea is great, but the way you said they did it,
the execution was terrible. But so I mean, I don't necessarily hate an X-Men versus Avengers crossover, but I just feel like it's going to be. I'm just not feeling it.
The originality is gone.
It just really is.
Well, and it's one of those things where I think, like Charlie, you're a huge fan of Green Lantern. Mm-hmm. And all of the Green Lantern books have had really, really good intros to the events, right? They build up. They give you, you get teasers 6 months out, 7 months out beforehand, and it's not even something that's like that you absolutely need to know, but it's kind of like just a little drop of information, but it goes along with what goes. Whereas Marvel, here's Cable coming back. He's doing this. And like you said, it felt like the beginning of, the Red Hulk series, where it's like he comes, he grabs one person, and then next issue he's going to go grab Iron Man because that's what they flash to the end of it. Then he's going to go grab somebody else in the next issue, and then, everyone's going to figure out what he's doing in 4, and then the X-Men are going to get involved, and then that's how we get into Avengers versus X-Men. I'm done. I'll read it, but I'm not going to. I don't want to.
It's kind of weird, and this may be giving Cable too much props, but the time limit on his life, if I was writing this book, I would probably actually make this an entire setup to get the X-Men to take care of the problem with the Avengers, just because he doesn't have... Nobody at this table, and nobody who even has ever read Cable, as badass as he is, believes he can take out the whole Avengers to the point where he'd have to protect Hope within 24 hours, or 17, evidently, by the time he actually came back.
Maybe he hires the Punisher to come help him do some of this shit.
Well, I mean, it would be interesting if, again, like these other things, sort of just go away. Sorry, Charlie, but just kill him. At the end of the book, he dies. At the end of this miniseries, Cable dies, and actually dies.
That's the thing is at the end of all this stuff that was going on with the X-Men, when he sacrificed himself through the portal, that was a great. If Cable had been dead forever after that, that would have been an amazing end. It would have been boom, done. Yeah. We can get nice little stories about him written, but we know he's dead. This is.
We thought he was dead, and now he's back.
We thought he's dead, he's back. And the other question
now he's going to die in 24 hours.
Is Captain America's shield cracked in this?
Oh, God.
No, I'm serious. I'm sick and tired of this shit. Everyone gives me crap for it, but it's like, Fear itself, he blatantly says, oh, no, it adds character. But in none of his books is it cracked. Nope.
Well, I guess for me, and this is just Charlie being Charlie, but...
That could be a TV show.
I'm actually very disappointed in some ways that they brought Cable back, but not that they brought Cable back. And what I mean by that is Cable is a perfect character where paradoxes are part of the game, meaning as the future changes, therefore when Cable was taken into the future as a baby, that changed, and therefore a different reality of Cable or whatnot could always come back.
Right.
One that happened to coincide with the timeline very different than the one that's been running around forever.
Right.
Because that's the whole nature of time travel.
Captain America's not dead. He didn't kill Falcon. Why would he? If it was me, I would have killed Falcon and Captain America.
Charlie, us being actually Doctor Who fans here, this could become... if we think a little more Doctor Who-ish in this could become a really cool series if they're going back and forth from the future and things are changing in the past, and there could be some cool stuff here. They could be.
But that's kind of what I mean. There's a lot of aspects of the Cable character, especially since, and this is another gaping plot hole in this book, last I saw Cable, he couldn't get a working time machine if it...
Yeah. His arm was left here. How can he... go...
Well, Bishop is going to come and save the day.
Well, Bishop took a shit and it was buried.
Yeah, did they kill him too?
And then he unearthed it out of a mine. And then he saw that Hope was dead on a tombstone.
Officially? I didn't know that.
I thought he died.
Really?
Bishop?
I'd have to go back. I think so.
The last thing I read I really liked of his was District X. And I really loved that series.
Yeah,
and
you're a little out of date.
Yeah, I think he was in the...
I like that series.
He was in the Messiah Complex. He was trying to...
He was the big bad of this whole event.
He was doing the thing Bishop always does is, I have to come back and stop.
Well, Bishop was like, I have to stop this. And Cable's like, but if you stop this, my future's effed up. So, we have to stop you stopping this.
Hence why I think this whole X-Men vs. Avengers thing could be a complete, future, current crossover event where they're coming back to change things. Captain America might as well he might as well be dead in this next issue because Cable might go further back in time and change all things again.
Right.
And why would Cable go back and kill him now? Why don't you just go and do it when he's a baby? God,
Why
is
not
nobody
just
smart
take
with
him
time
to the
travel and
future?
killing people?
I mean, going back to this whole, why can't we just talk about it? I wouldn't be surprised if Cable takes him to the future to show him what happens, basically.
Nah.
Are we done talking about the X-Men? Jesus, we've been talking about this
Never.
for like 25 minutes. All right,
So?
I'm done talking about Cable and X-Men.
I guess we're going to have to talk about DC since
We'll
it's
come
Ryan's
back.
podcast.
Well, that's okay. I'll be back for issue 2.
we'll have Charlie back on, and he can update us on his favorite character. Because if Speedball ever appeared in Marvel Comics again, I would want to talk about that on a weekly basis. And so
The home front.
Only if Night Trasher comes back with it.
Why didn't we talk about the home front?
What?
Why didn't we talk about the home front?
What's that? Now that Cable's back, Charlie could talk about Cable, and so when they
No, but Speedball was back in Fear Itself home front.
What?
You stupid fucking pile of crap.
So nice. So okay. What was that? All right, let's move on. Let's move on here. Actually, no, there was something more interesting about Marvel. There was something else interesting about Marvel. Maybe it is more interesting. I don't know. The solicitations for March came out this past week. Now, if I did my counting correct, which I double checked, and I think I'm right.
Did you check it twice?
I did.
Did you find out if Marvel's been naughty or nice?
They're always naughty. Okay. Marvel.
Unless he's talking about Brubaker or Fraction,
Yeah.
then you get a pass.
Fractions,
Or Rucka.
Fractions half and half. Marvel is releasing 66 titles in the month of March. Now, that doesn't include double shipping. There's a handful of books double shipping, so I think it's like 78 issues total, if I remember correctly. But something like that, 78, 79 issues. But 66 titles. This must be a historic low for Marvel in the last decade.
Well,
They like the last few months they have gone from
now this is just single issues, right?
this is single issues. This includes the kids stuff, the icon, the magazine, the reprint stuff, the
But it doesn't involve.
they may be publishing less Marvel Universe books than DC is publishing DC Universe books. I'll have to go back and double count. But if you take out the kids stuff, you take out Icon, you take out Max, and you take out the reprint anthology stuff, I think they are publishing less comics than DC, and that is mind-blowing considering Marvel has broken 120 comics in previous months.
Yeah.
They literally have cut their output in half. And it's I'm
Well, that doesn't include trades.
no, trades is a whole other story. There's like 80 trades or something coming out, but that's
geez.
still they're still working through old material. So I don't know what their push here is, but I think we are finally seeing the serious downsizing of Marvel. If you guys remember, a few months ago, they had some pretty big layoffs. They laid off a good
There's some
number
pretty
of
big
their staff.
layoffs, and then they turned around and had a ton of internship positions for the same
Right.
thing. Yeah, we talked about that.
Right, and so and this may be the outcome of that, is that Marvel is finally coming back and saying, look, we can't publish 120 comic books. There's literally not room on the shelf for these amount of books. 60 titles, you want to do 50, 60 titles, get the quality here, get them ongoing, forget the miniseries, forget the crossovers, just give us some decent books. Look at what DC's done, copy that model, take it from Marvel. But seriously, it's true. Like, I don't mind if characters appear in other titles, but there have been, my back issue bins are flooded with, well, actually, they're not flooded because I order so few of them, but they would be flooded of just garbage Marvel miniseries that no one cares about. And so it's,
Unless they're Deadpool, in which case people seem to buy them.
But even that, Deadpool went from like 4 or 5 books a month down to like 1.5 now because Max kind of comes
it's funny. Last week, someone came in here and he was buying the Uncanny X-Force because of Deadpool.
Yeah.
He goes, "Oh, I don't know, Deadpool's in here. I have to have it too."
Yeah. Deadpool is a perfect example of a character that needs one good book.
I'd agree with that.
When that book started, we were selling 30, 40 copies of that book, which is pretty damn good for a solo Deadpool book for our size.
The trades sell really well.
Yeah, but now that they had their big explosion, everyone stopped buying it, and now I'm down to like 14 copies.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know if that's just because the book is bad or people just got so burned out, but it's like they killed that character.
That's because everybody started buying the Deadpool classic trades,
Yeah.
which they solicited up to number 6 now.
Yeah, I think it's 6, yeah. All the
And
Joe
yet
Kelly.
Cable didn't get any love. He only got to 2.
I'm sure we'll get some more. So, yeah. Marvel will be publishing many, many fewer comic books. I assume they will expand out a bit during Avengers X-Men crossover next year, but hopefully we are seeing the culling of a lot of their titles.
Well, I'm like with the DC relaunch. We're all hopeful that things work out for the best. But again, we haven't seen how DC's model works with a big crossover event.
That's fine. We don't need to. They're not going to do it anytime soon.
I know. But I'm just saying, like right now, like DC's model doesn't work for a big crossover event. But big crossover events have been what kind of have been the flagship kind of drive in the comic book industry for a long time. Now, not saying that's a good thing.
Well, what happened was the big event books were the only thing that was selling, and then those stopped selling.
Yeah.
So the 400, 500,000 copy Civil War became the 250,000 copy Secret Invasion, became the 200,000 copy Blackest Night, became the 150,000 copy whatever was the last thing, Fear Itself, or 140,000. It's just the numbers drop, and people just don't care. And you just like, oh, that's a lot of copies. It's not a lot of copies.
No.
And no books that Marvel is publishing at this point are breaking 100,000 or even coming close.
No.
Except for ridiculously inflated numbers like the Marvel Point One and things that are not
that's because they
actual copies.
Purposely inflated the numbers.
Right, not actual copies sold. So, yeah, I'm really happy to see Marvel cutting back. I hope they can focus on quantity. I mean, I hate to see people losing jobs. And I hate to see characters people like X-23. I know, Toby, you're a big fan of X-23, but she's
Avengers Academy.
Yeah, she's in Avengers Academy. Dakin's going away. They're canceling that. And so, I mean, these are characters that people like, but it's like, it's for the good of the whole industry. You just sideline these characters.
Well, especially
I'm just going to get his own series again, right?
Maybe.
Well,
I'm kind of semi-joking about it, but
I guess for me what it really comes down to, and this is even something that DC kind of proved with their relaunch, is if you handle it correctly and get the characters out there with a good writer, people will buy them. Doesn't really matter if it's Batman or Animal Man. It can both work.
Well, it comes down to, quality over quantity, and I think hopefully this is the case.
And also, I mean, you can't be publishing 100 and some odd titles, physically, and then with the digital market coming up, having 120 digital titles at the same time.
Well, you can.
You can. It's just you're not going to sell many of them. So it's like it's one of those things where you need to take like Toby said, you need to make it quality, not quantity, because the thing is the quality work will stand the test of time. Right? When we recommend stuff to people for people to read, we recommend stuff that's quality. Right, because that's the thing. It's like we talk about the trade market, where the trade market takes these dips and stuff. But the trade market's always consistent, at least for the stuff that's good, because people are recommending it. It's always going to be something that's going to rotate around and sell. Everyone says you got to read, The Dark Knight Returns. You have to read, Long Halloween. You need to read Invincible. You need to read Walking Dead. But those will keep going.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, if I look at my top, because we'll do a list next week of our top, and actually we'll do it on the podcast too, probably next week or two, of our top selling comics and trades of the year in the store. And I think I've looked at it a couple, like maybe a month ago, and I think only about half the trades that came out, or maybe even only a third, actually came out this year that are on our top selling list.
Yeah.
It is a perennial backlist. It's a very important part of comic books. So.
Well, for me, what it really comes down to, and this is where I'm wondering if Marvel will, while cutting back, also figure out a way to handle this properly. But in terms of selling trades, as you said, trades are a whole different animal.
Yeah.
Because going to somebody who's looking for something new to try, you can easily kind of point them, this is where you want to start. Mm-hmm. Versus comics, especially at a glance, I can tell people, yeah, the Matt Fraction run on Invincible Iron Man has been really good, but now that it's gotten up to this number of issues, what you end up doing, you end up pointing them towards the trades, because it's now been going long enough, you kind of need to get to that starting point. It's kind of going back to what Ryan said, like the first time I was on the podcast, the reason why I've sold the crap out of Green Lantern and Green Lantern trades and all that is I don't start them on the single issues. I start them on the trade paperback with Rebirth, and then they get caught up, and then they start buying the single issues.
It's going to be an interesting year for Marvel. 2012 it should be interesting for both Marvel and DC.
Oh, Marvel's just pissing you off left and right. You had to polybag how many comic books in the past couple weeks? Well,
that's different. I mean, I'm generally fine with Marvel, but no, I mean they're bagging up all the digital comics with the codes. Like, forget that. I'm unbagging all those. I don't
Well,
care.
and
And the
then-
X-Force, they came out this last week. My hands were black by the time I unbagged all those damn bags. Not a single person said anything. No one cares.
Yeah, no one cares. And the other thing is the Fantastic Four that comes out tomorrow.
That's whatever.
They changed it.
They're trying some new paper stock. It's kind of like Walking Dead in some of the image books, where the paper stock is the same stock as or the cover stock is the same stock as the paper stock, which it's fine. It just feels lighter, but I don't. They're just testing it. If it's cheaper and lighter, I'm sure they'll go for it. But whatever.
Brock seems to be the only person who really cares about this.
Yeah,
I have clammy hands. I'm part of that group of people. Sometimes when you're holding comic books and you're holding those inside pages, your thumbs warm up enough and they leave a watermark or a water. They change the paper. And the thing is, if I'm sitting there holding the cover,
what are you, freaking Iceman or something over here? What are you like, Hydro Man? Like, what the hell's wrong with you?
No, my hands climb up. Like, I go from one temperature to another, like, really quickly. My hands climb up. If I'm holding something, my hands will climb up. Like, I can go outside when it's cold, hold my fists together for, like, maybe 30 seconds, open it, and steam comes off
an
of it.
ice ball.
I'm gonna fucking kill you. I swear to God. I swear to God. This is my motive right here.
Nice.
I'm admitting to it.
All
but
right,
yeah, it's one of those things where, if it's the inside paper is more susceptible to water damage and all that stuff. A cover of something is always supposed to be meant to protect something. But if it's the same as the inside paper, then it's not really different.
I think my only complaint is that if the cover is really flimsy, because the interior pages are pretty flimsy, so it just feels a little weird. But I'm not like I said, whatever. It doesn't bother me.
I guess here's and this is kind of how I feel in general about changes like that. I'm all for them cutting back costs to try and keep the price down. But typically, if you're making a move that's intended to cut costs to keep the price down, show me that's what you're doing. Drop the price a little bit so we can sell more copies. And it's the same way I kind of feel about a lot of the digital comics. I buy them when they're on sale because I refuse to pay the same price as a physical copy for a digital copy when they're saving money if I buy the digital.
Yeah, did we ever figure out how much it actually costs for the digital comic?
What do you mean?
Like, it doesn't cost anything, right?
Like the companies?
Yeah. What's the cost for a digital comic for the company?
I mean,
you still have to pay someone to load it up.
Yeah, I mean,
you
still have to
servers.
You have to pay employees. I mean, Comixology has to do their guided view. You have to pay for every download. I mean, it's bandwidth. So, I mean, yeah, of course it costs them something. It's not free money, but it's it's already.
I'm sure it's less than the print.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Of course.
Oh.
Yeah.
And to me, that's kind of where
they should have lowered the price.
And it's kind of nice that they drop the price X amount of weeks after the books come out. But, I mean, for me, I pretty much only buy the stuff that's on sale because that's the price point where I'm willing to...
Well, and that's what I think we're going to see is if, the idea of devaluing the physical comic with the digital comic is something that's very scary to a lot of people, a lot of retailers. Actually, on this point, I just want to touch on this real quick. Comixology announced today they're the people we sell digital comics through. If you go to digital.comicsconspiracy.biz, you could buy most of your digital comics through there, and it supports the store and the podcast. But they're actually working on an HTML version of their site. It's in beta right now, so it is not Flash-based. Currently, to read the comics, it's still Flash-based. But you can buy them on your iPad and your iPhone. You still have to go through the browser. You can't go through our store yet. Our store is still the Flash-based version, but they are updating them. So they said it may take a few months to kind of get everything worked out, but they are working on it now, and they want people to go and test the new site and see how the HTML version works, and kind of beta test it and play around with it. So if you buy comics from us and you tend to buy like Marvel or Dark Horse, which we don't sell, which we can't sell, check out their site and give them feedback and let them know what they think. And hopefully,
buy Marvel and Dark Horse through the HTML site.
And hopefully, we
buy
can
everything else through
figure that out. Yeah.
Or just contact Ryan and he'll put together a bundle for you, and you'll be paying the same price for physical copies.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, yeah. If you want to buy a physical, I guess Marvel is not dropping their prices. IDW is not dropping their prices. They have sales, but they are not dropping their prices like DC is, and I don't think Dark Horse does either.
Which, as I said, just seems stupid to me. It's why I only buy stuff on sale.
Yeah.
I don't know. As we've kind of talked about, I am a big bargain hunter. I look for the deals and all that. But what it really comes down to for me is if I know you're making a move that saves you money and stuff, if it's obvious you're doing that so you can keep a certain price point, that's one thing. But if you're doing it just to pad your bottom line, I can't handle it. I just leave the...
Yeah. Well, there is one more subject I wanted to touch on tonight.
One more? There's probably a couple more.
There's one more for tonight.
Oh, yeah,
Save it for next week. Everything for next week.
Everything for next week.
Exactly.
Procrastinate.
So there's a little movie coming out next year.
A little movie.
Called Dark Knight Rises?
Oh, Jesus.
Rises? Dark Knight Rises. I don't like that name still.
I thought it was Dark Knight Rising.
No, it's Rises.
No, it's Rises.
The
Because
third...
if someone's in the movie, makes them rise.
in the,
Something rise.
Well, possibly.
in the...
Sort of.
Hold... shut
Something
up.
else might
Spoilers!
rise.
All spoilers!
This is the third in the Christopher Nolan Dark Knight Batman trilogy. However, so here's where I want to say this. I am not a crazy going on freaking Ain't It Cool, reading all the stuff, watching 40 behind the scenes trailers, watching the cam version of the six. No, fuck all that. I've watched the teaser. I watched the high quality. Unfortunately, it was on the Apple website.
Hey.
The high quality trailer number 1. I mean, I believe they call it trailer number 2, but this is the first full trailer.
Yeah.
Yes.
They had the teaser.
Yeah.
And then I will watch one more official, high-quality, actual trailer.
I don't think you're going to get that.
That is... If they don't do another one...
I don't think they are. I think how did they do it last year? I think they had a teaser and a trailer. And
No, they had like
No,
7
they had-
trailers.
Did they?
And that's
Oh, they
why...
stopped.
And that's
Okay.
why I stopped. Because for the second Batman movie, I don't want to know anything about this. I told myself...
I mean, third.
The third
Well,
one.
for the,
Well, Ryan is watching a different kind of
For
movie.
the
He's
second-
watching the 60s Batman Triple X.
For the second one, I got so spoiled by even the trailers that for this third one, I want to see as little as possible.
But I have a question. You were so spoiled, but isn't it the best comic book movie ever?
What's that? 2?
The Dark Knight.
Yeah, but I still saw way too much. I don't want to watch anything else. I told myself I will watch 2 trailers, and I figured that gets me 3 or 4 months out from the movie, and I never need to see anything else
Well,
again.
you know, it's interesting that you bring this up because today I was talking to one of my coworkers, and he was like, well, I wasn't impressed by the trailer. I'm like, why not? How can he not be? He goes, well, it didn't show me anything. It didn't explain anything what the movie's
Good.
about. And I told him, I'm like, you know what? That's exactly why I like it. I was
about
like,
Batman.
You know,
That's all you need
I
to
get
know.
to see Bane have a couple of words. I get to see Selina
That
have
you
a
can
couple
barely
of lines.
understand.
Actually, I understood it fine.
Yeah, I had no problem with it.
Yeah, you get to see Selina, you know, and I was like, you know, that's all I want to see. I'm pretty happy. I just wanted to have some teasers,
All right.
some lines. I'm good. I don't need to know what the movie is about.
Now, and as we get closer, I'm going to avoid every thread about it, every spoiler post
Which is
about
like
it.
almost impossible because every single person that's going to walk in here on Wednesday, like, Ryan, did you see this? This happened.
I will say, shut the fuck up. I am not listen to you. So, like,
In those words?
you know,
You're going to post a sign on the door that says,
There's
no
going to be a
Dark
mom
Knight
coming in
Rising
with a
talk.
kid. Hey, Ryan, did you see these? And you'd be like, shut the fuck up.
I've already heard too many theories and it's just like I don't want to know anything. I don't want to know that girl is Carrie Kelly or whatever the hell her name is. I don't want to know that what's his face from Inception is the Riddler. I don't want to know that Raj Al Ghul and Talia are in this. Like I'm sure none of these things are real. I just don't want to know any.
Actually,
I don't want to know any assumptions or spoilers or anything. I don't want to know anything. 2 trailers and I'm out. That's it. So don't spoil anything for me, you guys. I'm going to kill you if you do.
So, Charlie, you've seen the first 6 minutes.
Yes,
I don't
have.
Is
know.
it awesome?
Like,
Yeah.
you guys could talk about
leave
it.
the room.
I will go to the Red Room. We could continue this without you.
I
We'll
will-
text you to come back in.
Can I turn off my mic? And so, like, I think I can actually... I'm gonna drop my monitor really low, and I'm just gonna... La la la. You can talk when I'm doing.
All
this,
right.
La
Okay.
la la la
Yeah.
la la
So
la la
the
la
bottom
la,
line
la.
from the
Wait, that's not gonna work. Hold on.
Yes,
Yeah,
it will.
Okay.
He's going to
You-
listen to it.
you can
He's
talk
going to
about
listen
the
to it
bottom
either
line.
way.
The bottom line of the first 6 minutes, just like sort of the first 6 minutes of Dark Knight, is you get an idea.
I'm a sign
the
language
character a
just
little
to
bit,
Ryan while he's
but
trying
it
not to
doesn't really
listen.
give anything away from the story.
Oh, okay.
I mean, you don't.
Well, and they changed the first 6 minutes of The Dark Knight from the original that they showed. They changed it a little bit going into the other one. So I don't see what the problem is.
Yeah.
Especially because, I mean, Nolan's hit it out of the park twice. I mean, I know there's a lot of expectation behind this one, but
the way I kind of look at it is all it does is communicated the same level of detail you would have already gotten from any of the trailer, basically.
Well, and back to, okay, we're done with the first 6 minutes. Okay, so back to what you were saying, though.
Actually, I'm not done. I saw the first 6 minutes, too.
I haven't watched it.
Yeah, you guys done? Are you guys done?
But back to what you were saying about, like, that person saying, well, the trailer didn't really show me anything.
Yeah.
It did. This trailer didn't really show you anything, but
Well,
it was nice.
that's cool.
For us, it was nice because we get these little flashes.
That's all I
Definitely
wanted.
the Lucas.
I wanted to
Star
see
Wars
Selena
style
really badly. I
of
was
a
dying to
trailer.
see her. I wanted to see Bane.
It showed that Bane really hates football for some reason. I don't know what's up with that.
It's a public event. There's a lot of people.
American pastime.
damn it.
Blow it up.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
American pastime is in baseball.
Well, that's okay.
The American pastime should be
all
cricket.
stupid
It should be
sport.
cricket. Hell yeah, cricket. It's the best sport ever.
Oh, jeez.
God.
I want to just go ahead and denounce all sports right now.
What about hutball?
Unless it's zero gravity something or other, I denounce it.
Okay.
So if
Hutball's
it's
the
zero gravity football. It's cool.
Yes,
hutball's
if it's zero gravity football, that's cool with
How
me.
about
How about
what was the baseball game with the robots? That was awesome. I don't remember. Anyway, go ahead.
the baseball game with the robots?
Yeah. It was a baseball game where you make your cyborg robots. Okay, anyway, go ahead. So
Ah.
yes,
All right, back to Batman.
yeah,
Yeah.
Batman's great.
Yes.
Everybody loves
Awesome.
Batman.
I need to watch those again. I haven't watched them in a while.
Wanted to?
Yeah.
I watched them fairly like in the last year or two.
You've watched them last year and you haven't
or
watched
so.
Daredevil Director's Cut?
Yeah, well, fuck that movie. So
I like I said, I have nothing to say to that. He said he's going to watch it, and if not, he's going to watch Big
Big
Bang.
Bang
So
Theory.
either way, I won already, so I don't really
You
care.
don't have to buy Big Bang Theory. I can let you borrow my
did
copies.
you get the limited edition box set?
Why would I get the
signature?
limited?
I haven't
it's the
signed.
signature.
Signature? You got the.
I didn't
head.
go get that.
You pop open the top of the head, and the DVDs are in there. or
Isn't that
something.
Simpsons?
Yeah, that's Simpsons.
Yeah, but it
that's
could
you.
be-
It wasn't Big
That's
Bang
you.
Theory.
Well, it's also Futurama. They have the Bender
they have-
head.
I'm just saying because you're a nerd and you like a bad show. So,
Whatever.
all right,
God, you're so bad.
Batman: Dark Knight. I'm
Yeah.
assuming we continue to have this podcast for another 6 months or whatever. We'll talk a lot about the Dark Knight, especially it gets closer. Except for me, who will be
In the back room,
putting my
dancing up and down,
fingers
going
in my-
la 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 la
putting my
la.
fingers in my ear and making all sorts of noises so I can't hear what you guys are saying, which is what I was doing.
Yes,
the
I'll be
rest of
back
this.
for these discussions for sure.
Sweet. All right.
So because of Ryan, we actually didn't really talk about the trailer except for the fact that we all seen it.
I liked
we
it.
can talk about the trailer. Like I'm fine with talking
Yeah?
about the 2.5 minutes I saw.
Yeah?
Okay, no speculation, no nothing. Oh well, this character.
Kind of makes it hard to talk about it.
Well, we
I-
talked about blowing up a football stadium.
Yeah,
All
that's
right.
fine. That's all I need to know.
I mean, I made the comment, and a couple of people made the comment that it's difficult to hear what Bane says.
Yeah,
Which
I haven't
know,
noticed yet. But
I know that people brought it up with the first film and the second film in that, especially how Christian Bale was talking as Batman, he kind of changed his voice. People were like, what the hell is he doing? I mean, we understood the change in the voice, but it was
Yeah.
hard for people to...
it actually never
understand
bothered
it.
me. I know people are making fun of it. It actually never bothered me. But I'm a little worried about the whole Power Ranger effect on Bane. Remember when we first watched Spider-Man and the Green Goblin was fighting Spidey and they looked like two Power Rangers with like no mouth moving?
Yeah.
I'm a little worried that Bane doesn't come off as menacing as he should be
I mean, he's-
because he's got his mouth covered.
It's just the Hannibal Lecter thing. That's
Yeah, but even Hannibal Lecter kind of see the mouth.
yeah.
So I'm a little worried about that. And that's yeah. That's
No, I mean, I understand. 'cause,
I trust in Nolan, but
they did. I mean, production value for Spider-Man. They did make that kind of a meshy bottom for at least the Goblin because they did notice that it was just these two guys.
yeah, it was
you
just
know.
weird. It's like two dudes with helmets, and it was just
Yeah.
like overlaying dialogue. It was just kind of made it far easier to film. I'm sure. Yeah.
All right.
But yeah, I mean, it's because the thing is, like, I watched Sherlock Holmes for the first time last night.
Yeah.
I kept having to turn the volume up on that stupid movie because I could barely understand what Robert Downey Jr. was saying as Sherlock Holmes, and it was like I went from 30 volume to like 45. Everyone else is asleep in the house, and I'm sitting there going, Can barely hear shit on this movie.
Subtitles.
Well, I do actually hate that on some of the newer movies. It seems like the sound effects and the soundtracks are so loud
and
that when the dialogue is on, you have to like turn it up, and the minute the dialogue is off, you turn it back down because everything is too loud.
I've done that a couple of times with newer movies, and it's annoying as shit.
Yeah.
I've noticed on some movies that's not actually the case. Some of it depends on how they balance the sound between all the different speakers. Just because... So I saw Thor in the movie theater, and I had no problem with the dialogue to music ratio at all. So when I first brought Thor home on Blu-ray, I had the same problem. All the dialogue was really low, and then I had to sort of rebalance my center channel because my center channel just wasn't balanced properly for the left and the right. Just because
I'm not even doing surround sound. I'm doing it
that's
straight
sort of
out of
my
like
point.
TV speakers.
That's sort of my point.
Yeah,
Is
that might
it
be one of
seems
the
like they
problems.
are getting closer and closer where you have to choose the right audio track and all that, or you get that effect because when it's rebalancing a 5.1 signal down to stereo, it doesn't do it well.
Yeah. Maybe I just need to start going in and checking the audio track. Stereo, just give me this cheap stereo one.
It would probably help on some of the movies.
Yeah, it won't help on Green Lantern, though.
Oh.
Oh, burn.
Whatever.
That was a Green Lantern burn.
Yeah, whatever.
A lot of hate
Suck
in this
it.
podcast.
Just Brock.
No, you and Marvel too.
Yeah, I'm fine with
He does it with Green Lantern
I'm
reviews,
fine
but
with
you do it to
Marvel.
Marvel. There's like just a lot of hate.
No, I'm fine with Marvel.
And then there's Toby and me in this corner just going, should we get involved here?
Yeah,
Because-
it's like holding
yes.
up a sign, but I do like comics.
Well,
I really do.
to counter the hate, let's talk about some books we love. Toby, Charlie, you guys look like you have your random picks of the week ready.
Yeah.
I talk about your random picks while me and Brock stare blankly at a wall.
Oh, I know what my random pick is.
Okay, you can go next then. I still have no idea.
All right. Well, in relation to the Dark Knight trailer coming out, some people have not been liking that Anne Hathaway is Catwoman, and
Those people would be wrong.
Yeah. In fact, the minute they announced her, I thought it was like perfect. In fact,
Yeah, I agree.
yeah, the Nolan Catwoman is not going to be be Batman up Catwoman. It's more going to be the elegant, thief, classy Catwoman. And so for all the haters, I will say go read Catwoman When in Rome by Tim Sale and Jeff Loeb.
Jeff Loeb, back to the...
So back to the golden days of Jeff Loeb. It is a very classy kind of book. I especially love the covers. They're very old theater-style covers, very European style. So, yeah, go check the book out. It's very elegant, and you will see why Anne Hathaway will be really, really good as Catwoman.
Back to your Catwoman love for Anne Hathaway. Did
Yes.
you guys notice that the scene in the trailer was kind of an homage to Tim Burton's
Yeah.
Catwoman and Batman
Yeah.
interaction?
Yeah.
Yep.
Two agree with me, and you were like, oh, whatever, I don't know. Yeah, you don't know movies. Shut up.
I just didn't even think
Charlie,
about
Well,
it.
it's really funny because originally, Ashley, being a Spidey fan and Black Cat fan, I always thought, you know what, she would make a good Black Cat. But when Nolan casted her, I was like, oh man. But then I was like, wait, that will work really well. So I'm actually really excited for this casting. Plus, how many people have hated on Heath Ledger before he was the Joker?
Of course.
Oh, yeah.
Now, Ryan, you know that for a fact. That was Team Heath Ledger, like from the beginning. Like the minute they announced it, was like, you know what, he could totally do it. And Nolan proved everybody wrong. So I'm thinking that everybody needs to just calm down and wait for the movie to come out, and he will prove everybody wrong again.
Fans are the worst people in the world because they're like instant. Oh, I gotta hate everything. Yeah, like, and I'm different when it comes to comic books because no. When I have years of disinterest in specific characters and creators, you build kind of this sort of level of like, well, I just don't trust this is going to be good. Anyone, if you saw the first two Batman movies and you didn't like them, well, of course you're not going to like the third one because it's going to be more of the same. Mm-hmm. But for the people that like the first two, and especially for a lot of people I knew who were like, these are some of their favorite movies of all time, not just comic books, like Dark Knight would be on my top 5 list of movies.
Well, here's what's good about
my
these.
number one.
Yeah, I mean, here's what's good about these new movies. They are trying to make good movies now, and especially with the Dark Knight. that was what he was out to do. I'm going to make a good movie. The best I can do. It just happens to be a Batman movie.
Right.
And this is what Hollywood needs to learn. These characters, they have a lot of story in them. And just because they're superheroes, they don't need to be dumbed down. There's a lot of issues and a lot of world issues that could be, tackled in these stories. And that's what Nolan set out to do. And boom, we got one of the best grossing movies, of all time. One of them, it's like, number 3, number 5. I don't know where it's at. But it's really up there.
Well, I would actually say in general, Batman's always done a very good job of... It's almost sort of a cop-out, but I kind of think back to Batman the Animated Series and all this other stuff. It tends to be the ones that really work are the ones that sort of capture the setting as well as the characters. Yeah. And like you could hear in some of the commentary from Bruce Timm and Paul Dini and stuff on the Batman Animated Series box sets, how they made specific choices on what colors they were going to use and everything else to set that tone. And I kind of think when you have a lot of these movies that don't pay attention to the tone and that kind of stuff, that's where you get a lot of the movies that basically get shit canned all over the place because they didn't try to make a movie in a particular setting. They tried to just go, kids will love it.
Now, here's the thing. There's some people that actually didn't like The Dark Knight because of the ending. And I told them, I'm like, you know what? I don't think you understand Batman. Because this is exactly what Batman is about. He sacrifices himself for whatever is needed for the better good. This is exactly the core of what Batman is really about. So the people that didn't really like the second one because the way it ended, I'm like, I'm sorry. I don't think you really understand what this is all about. And I think my favorite scene in Dark Knight is actually, it doesn't have Joker and doesn't have Batman in it. My favorite scene in Dark Knight movie was when the two boats are out there and they had the little triggers for the bombs, and where the big guy took the trigger and just threw it out the window. He goes, "This is what you should have done." Yeah. This is my favorite scene in the whole movie because it shows you decisions that people have to do and what's right and what's wrong, which that scene made the movie for me right there, and didn't even have Batman or Joker in it. Yeah.
No, it was a really powerful scene. I remember watching that going, wow, that was really, really well done. But, I mean, you were talking about the feel and tone and stuff. Yeah. Look at the original Batman, right? The one that Burton did. And the Batman
and it has its own feel and touch, too.
The first one had its own feel. The second one had its own feel.
Yeah.
And then you bring in Let's Just Not Care, and you get the Joel Moore, Neon Schumacher, horrible 2 films that come out. But then Nolan was like, I'm going to make a good movie about Batman. And he said, I'm not going to make it campy. I'm not going to do this. He based it in a kind of...
In a world. He created a world. He created a world for it.
Now, how would Batman work? And we have, I mean, the suit does have kind of a ridiculousness to it, but any guy running around in a costume is going to look ridiculous.
But
it looks
in Nolan's
sick.
Batman trilogy, the world that Batman is as much as a character as Batman and, Alfred and all those guys are. It's as strong as it is as any of those characters.
And most of the best Batman books, even in comics, are the ones that one of the characters is Gotham. Yeah.
Well, we lost, I mean, and nobody talks about that, but we lost Wayne Manor in the first one.
Right.
And then
he was in the penthouse in the second one.
And then he was in the penthouse in the second one, So we have a lot of, Gotham. I mean, we're seeing a lot of Chicago. I mean, Gotham as we watch these films. But yeah, you do get a sense of that this is Gotham City, that this is, I mean, and we got that even when we watched the first 2 films by Burton, where this is Crime Alley, this is, a dirty Gotham, or this is, Gotham in winter. I was like, Gotham in winter, wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
Because we have it's atmosphere.
Hence why I really do hope that Metropolis is as much part of Superman in the new Superman movie as Gotham is to Batman. Just because, it's night and day. It's the day version of Batman, basically. So the city needs to be as part of it as much as Gotham is in Batman.
But I'd say that's true for any comic book movie. The minute you forget about the personality of the place that they operate in is start at the beginning of the end.
This is why Iron Man worked really well too. It's the whole corporate world and the billionaire and all the corporate stuff that's going on. It made perfect sense. Now, Iron Man is not for say it's the city that's the character. It's more like
Stark
the world.
Industries.
Yeah, it's the Stark Industry. It's the industry that's his world. So that made perfect sense too.
Which is where Green Lantern lacked a little bit because we didn't get that Ferris air. We didn't get that kind of
I'd agree with that.
I mean, the extended version did help a little, I have to say. It helped a little, yeah.
But then when you saw those scenes again that you'd already seen before in the original, it took away.
No,
whether you like it or not, it took away.
I still think if they casted the girl from Lost, that the whole movie would have been quite a bit better.
Lilly.
Yeah, Evangeline Lilly. If she was in place of the Gossip Girl, who are her name, Blake Lively, I think the whole movie would have worked a lot better.
But,
especially if you watch Real Steel.
You look at X-Men, it's about the Institute. It's about the Xavier School for Gifted Children. It's about
this is why First Class was also as good. They took the whole time period, the whole human missile cycle, everything was part of it, as much as the characters was. So that's why I think First Class is the best X-Men movie by far that they made. I mean, people are going to disagree me on that one, but I do think First Class is the best one they've done.
Yeah, I think, the last X-Men movie really influenced where Marvel went with the X-Men since.
First Class?
No, the third movie.
Put out a shitty movie, therefore
the shitty movie that was in San Francisco. I think that really influenced where Marvel went with X-Men, and then after that,
San Francisco.
No, they were there for a little while.
They were there for a little while.
Yeah,
the bridge.
Yeah,
the bridge. Yeah.
Talk about me hating. All right, Charlie.
I'm just saying.
Hey, you know what'd be cool if Magneto opens a school?
They've done that.
Yeah, but now with all the other schools, at the Fantastic Four school, at the Avengers school, be like the evil mutant school. Actually, he's not really so evil anymore,
Wolverine's
but that would have been pretty cool.
So.
Yeah.
I'm actually kind of excited about that book. Yeah, Charlie's been recommending Wolverine the X-Men. I'm actually really excited about reading that. I'm really excited about the Astonishing X-Men, too. Take that,
Astonishing.
Ryan.
I got nothing.
Come on. Astonishing X-Men, you got Wolverine, Gambit, Warbird. I'm really excited about that. Just on the cover alone, I'm actually very excited.
I've dropped all X.
The characters don't
matter. That one is not even out, so don't even complain about it. It's not even out yet.
Wolverine the X-Men's okay. Bachalo's art is so
I can't.
impossible to read.
I couldn't, even if it was really
but
good.
I liked it. I like the first 2 issues so far. So.
Yeah.
I couldn't stand the art.
All right, Charlie, what's your pick of the week?
Charlie,
My pick of the week is Chew, which is actually an image book by John Layman and art by Rob Guillory.
Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce his name.
Oh, no.
Sounds right.
I again apologize for any mispronunciation of names that come out of my mouth because I will mispronounce them all. But no, this is actually a really good book. I like the general gist of it. I mean, I'm a superhero guy. I love all the powers that exist out there, but at this point, they've pretty much all been done. It's like any new character that DC or Marvel puts out, you kind of go, so they combine this character and this character, or, oh, this is just the newest version of so-and-so. Well, the nice thing about Chew is the fact that I don't think I've really come across a character with this exact type of power before, or how it's utilized. And, I mean, the other nice thing about it, and this is kind of the way I feel about a lot of some of the image books and some of the other indie titles, is they tend to take a genre and just tweak it just enough that it kind of gets this zany appeal to it. It's part of the reason I've always liked The Tick and that kind of stuff. And Chew's very much that way, where you kind of have a very standard sort of detective drama with some like general overtones, but still got this kind of zany appeal to it with the way that it's written, the way that it's utilized.
I mean, his big thing is when he eats something, he can see the last memory it had. Is that
it's
that
more
what it
than
is?
that? Anything he eats, he pretty much absorbs psychically. Now, mind you, the more he eats, the more information he gets.
All right.
But I mean, he can literally, if he's eating a chicken soup, he almost sees the entire life of the chicken. Mm-hmm. It almost seems like if he ingests the entirety of something, he'll.
What
know.
if he
if he had
eats an encyclopedia?
Chicken McNugget meal, he'd know
sees 20 chickens.
1,000 chickens.
Yeah,
yeah, but can he eat an encyclopedia? Then he knows everything.
No, doesn't
I don't think
work
he's
that way.
matter
It's got to
eater,
be
lad.
flesh.
Oh, okay.
It's basically got to be flesh. So if he finds a severed finger and he bites the severed finger, he'll know who the finger came from.
Does he actually have to eat it, or he just has to bite it?
As far as I've been able to tell, he has to eat it.
So
no,
he has
I mean,
to
how
digest it.
when is he going to start
I'm
eating
pretty sure
human? Oh no!
As it stands, he's eaten quite a bit.
So as a vegetarian, this is not a book for me.
No,
It's a horror book for you,
Just
maybe.
stay away from this one.
I've heard really good things about you, so I haven't read it, but it's a mile.
Yeah, for a while
you
this was
might
a
like
hot book. Yeah.
you might like it because he has a character doesn't eat
Name Toby?
anything other than beets, basically, because beets are the only thing he doesn't get a
So there's more than one character that does it.
The main character, as part of his job, he'll eat stuff to solve crimes and whatnot.
But there's more than one character that has the power in the book?
Yes.
Okay.
There's a total of 3, I think.
Okay.
So far. Keep in mind, I've only read the first 12 issues, 10 issues. Basically what's in the first 2 trades worth. That's where I'm at the moment.
Cool.
But no, it's a fun book. I like it a lot.
You know, for a while that was a really hot book. I mean,
It still is.
Yeah, because kids would come in here and pretend they don't know. Like, oh, do you still have number 1? I don't know that it goes on eBay for like $300. I'm just asking for myself.
Didn't a 9.8 graded one go for a lot recently?
Yes, they always have.
Yeah.
What's your pick this week, Brock?
My pick this week is a holiday pick.
Uh-oh.
Partly for everybody, partly for the gamers, but it's Green Lantern's Larfleeze Christmas Special from last year.
Sweet.
Everybody loves that book. Coming from me.
Awesome.
Also the basis for this year's DC Universe Online downloadable, or not downloadable content, it's just their holiday...
their holiday, like, playable content, like dailies
It's
things.
pretty lame, but it's fun.
Lara agreed, yeah.
It can't be lame if it has Larfleeze in it.
He does a dance when you see him.
See? Can't be lame.
But this holiday special was really awesome, and I really liked last year's episode or issue because they had like a cookie recipe in it, like trying to get us nerds to cook something.
Sure.
But I think it'd be really, really good for like family. So I'll try and find it and post it on the blog. But really great issue, fun, nice holiday read. A lot of times the holiday specials are just like whatever. Yeah. But this one I really, really enjoyed last year. And I'm kind of bummed they didn't do it this year. Like, they didn't do another one this year. Like
Jeff Johns had been
It'll be Atrocitus's holiday special.
Christmas didn't happen right.
Jeff Johns was kind of teasing that Larfleeze special for a couple years, so I was glad when it came out because it was pretty funny.
It was really good, really good. But that's my pick.
It was awesome.
All right, my pick to wrap this up. It's actually a book coming out tomorrow, if you are listening to this right as I posted this. If not, it came out this Wednesday. It's a book called Memorial, #1, from a company called IDW. I've kind of been looking forward to this for a little while. I have not had a chance to read it yet, so it could be the worst book ever published, but I don't think it is, because it's written by Chris Robertson, who's a good writer. He's done not a ton of work. He's written a lot of like novels and story stuff, published like short stories and a bunch of different stuff, but he did the co-writing with JMS, J. Michael Straczynski, on Superman. He did the Fable Cinderella books. He's done a few other things. I like this guy. He's doing the new Star Trek Legion Legion of Superhero crossover for IDW, and I don't know, this guy, everything I've read I've liked by him, so I kind of want to check this out. It's got some sweet ass covers by Michael Kaluta too, who's a fantastic. He's been doing art for a long time, a lot of fantasy stuff, but he does a lot of comic covers as well. Plot is girl with no memory, kind of 1 year after she sort of has rebuilt her life, inherits a magic shop. And it is now her versus basically the primordial forces of good and evil. It just kind of has like a Fables kind of feel to it, which what she did on Cinderella was really good. Or what he did with Cinderella was really good. Sorry,
what he did with Cinderella was really good. Are we getting Fables porn pretty soon?
No, I don't think so.
This whole episode was kind of
man.
But
wondering for Ryan's
jerking off 37 times or some shit.
Jesus, this kind of caught my eye when I saw it solicited, and part of it I just really like Kaluta's cover art, so it kind of grabbed me. But yeah, no, this looks pretty cool, and it'll be on my top of the stack to read this week. So I will report back if it's terrible or really, really good. But I think I have a feeling it's good.
He reports back after everybody bought it.
So
yeah, it should be good. You guys talk over each other too. It's impossible to hear. Okay, Don.
So I have one more thing I just felt like touching on real quick here. Toby and I went and saw Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol
very good.
A couple of days ago.
Very good. In one word, very exciting. Actually, that was not one word, actually. Very exciting.
No, it was a good movie.
It was good?
Yeah. No, it's kind of I told Charlie, it's kind of a throwback to the 80s action movies, where the action movies were really darn good, where when something enormous happens, that something bad happens.
So
like,
you're equating this to like a Die Hard level?
Yeah, no, I absolutely am.
Okay.
It's like, Bruce Willis running around barefoot and his feet all cut up and stuff like that.
But there's still humor in it?
Absolutely. Yeah,
Okay.
it's actually what they added. They added humor. They toned down the over-the-top action to...
Well, I wouldn't say they toned it down.
Well, it's more like they tone down the ridiculousness of it, but they up the ante, and when they do something stupid, well, something stupid's going to happen to you, which makes it a lot more fun to watch.
Yeah. It's sort of like in the first ones, you'd see something impossible, and you'd pull it off perfectly, and it kind of took you out of it.
Yeah, I mean, not to go back to Die Hard, but Die Hard 4, things were like so over the top, so perfectly. Bruce Willis lands on his feet. It was like, it was retarded.
Yeah.
I mean, compared to the first one, first one's awesome.
The plane circling
yeah, I was like,
and
come
him
on.
driving
Yeah,
the,
so
like,
Hollywood needs to just get away from that. Yeah.
Crosstalk these nuts, bitch.
Yeah. But I really like, guys, if you didn't like any of the other ones, which I personally didn't. I mean, the first one was good. It's more like a regular movie. I was just a little slow for me. The second one was so over the top. It was kind of silly. Charlie liked the second one, though.
Yes,
the third one is actually really funny. I just rewatched it. So when I watched it originally, I felt like it was a carbon copy of Alias, which I still think it is. However, I rewatched it yesterday, and they must have gotten the same composer of Lost. In fact, a lot of the key scenes in the third movie are very Lost-like. They're like the emotions he's trying to bring out, the soundtrack, the score, very, very much Lost-like. And that was before Lost.
It's J.J. Abrams.
Yeah. No. J.J. did, Alias. That's why I thought it was a carbon copy. I mean, the characters, you could literally pinpoint which one is which from Alias.
Yeah.
But this was before Lost. So it's really interesting after watching Lost to go back and watch the third Mission Impossible. There's very much Lost scenes in there before Lost.
Yeah, a lot of similar.
And he must have got the same composer. Must have been.
I don't know. I mean, I remember liking the Mission Impossible movies. I wasn't blown away by the.
Well, here's what I'm saying. I'm blown away finally. I'm finally blown away.
The second one was the one I was kind of like, I've seen this in Face Off.
Same director.
Well, since Brock was very happy to find the Mission Impossible comic by Rob Liefeld earlier today.
No, I thought it was by Jim Lee.
Yeah, I thought it was by Jim Lee at first, but I guess it was by Rob Liefeld.
It's in our quarter bin.
I guess we'll consider this comic book talk. All right, well, we'll go ahead and wrap this episode on. Sure, it's close enough.
We talked shop. We talked about stuff. I talked about Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah, Ryan was giving us the stink eye. He wanted to cut it off.
No, he always wants to cut off. He always gives us this stupid little cut this show. Stop
like now,
talking.
He really wants to go home.
I hate you guys. I'm going to all of your channels.
Yeah, now he's going to do his godlike powers and turn us down slowly in volume. And
no, he's just going to cut us.
Yes.
I can control all your mics. I control the negative.
No, you don't.
Positive.
I can turn off my own mic. Bleep.
There you go. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and wrap this
Outro
episode.
time.
It's been an hour and 20 minutes. Too long. If you want to listen to this episode again for whatever reason, or other episodes,
if you want to hear Ryan talk smack about Marvel,
for whatever reason,
Listen to any episode we've recorded.
you can go to you can go to www.geekbox.net, or you can go to forums.geekbox.net and talk with our other podcasts.
I thought he'd just say porn.net.
Porn.net.
You could go to porn.net and
You
listen
can
to us talk.
You can talk to Brock.
The Brock?
You could talk
to
Brock. You could talk to me. And you could talk to our other wonderful Geekbox podcast members that are on there.
Yes.
Or you could talk to fellow comic book fans in the comic book forum or other stuff like that. You can
just
also
start calling you the Brock.
The Brock.
The Brock.
Great.
You
Brody
could also
Brock.
go
Conspirator Brock. The
Brock.
You can also go to conspiratorbrock.com
Yay!
for Brock's blog and him posting stuff that Brock posts. You can go on iTunes.
Did you even go? Have you even looked at my blog?
Once or twice.
Once or twice.
I've seen it. I've been reading.
You can go on iTunes and also download the Infinite Long Box, which has absolutely zero descriptions in the tag. So you guys need to fix that because it's just like Infinite Long Box 001.
Well, that's all they need for selling it.
You gotta
Or 001.
It's
Listen.
the infinite long box. There's tons of stuff to
Goes
talk
forever.
about. It just goes on forever.
Where you can Charlie, my good friend Jordan, my not as good friend Jess, because I don't really know Jess quite as much, and my completely not other friend who I don't even remember his name,
Red Hat Man.
Steven?
Yeah, Steven.
Steven. Have I ever met Steven?
I think I brought him into the shop once.
Okay, because I've known Jordan for a long time. I've met Jess a handful of times, and I've never met Steven. Apparently, I met him once. So you can go but I know Charlie. Charlie's fine. So go
Charlie is fine.
go listen to these people talk about comics. Toby
talk about comics.
Toby does nothing, so don't follow him anywhere doing anything. He's an enigma.
Jesus, you're a dick.
So, Toby, do you have any podcasts or blogs you would like to pimp?
No.
Artists?
There you go.
Plenty of artists I like to pimp.
Pimp an
But
artist?
you are not an artist. You can pimp an artist during the podcast. During the outro, you're pimping yourself.
All right.
Do you have a Twitter?
Not that he uses.
Yeah, I don't really use it.
Then just say you can follow that I don't do anything on Twitter.
All right, should I open that? I guess so. All right, we're opening it. You can follow me at TobyXI. So it's TobyXI. So if you want to complain about me or should talk to me, here we go. We open up the Twitter for the podcasters.
All right.
It's because we have TobyXI and we have Ryan Higgins Ryan. Charlie,
you don't really use Twitter. You have a Twitter account, but you're not really on it. So
Yeah, just fair warning. I barely post anything ever. I don't understand Twitter really
we'll get
quite yet.
How are you going to get me on it?
All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and shut this episode off. Have a Merry Christmas, everyone.
Yay!
We have to have a happy holiday. We got to be PC.
You can also have a happy holiday as well. Do whatever you want to do. Just have a merry whatever that thing is.
Have a merry holiday, Kwanzaa, some crap.
Okay, I'm going to take a minute of this podcast.
Get
and
drunk.
shut up
Ryan
now.
really wants to get out of his podcast.
He always wants to get out of this podcast.
Can we make a New Year one?
All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and shut this episode off. Have a good Christmas.
You killed our mics!
We'll talk to everyone next week.